Global TV News Express. Tinubu postponed South Africa-Angola trips over Kebbi Kwara attacks. In business, House of Representatives pushes for faster oil drilling in Nasarawa State. On foreign scene, Trump, Saudi Crown Prince signal progress on Israel ties. And in sport, Osimhen to miss Confederation of African Football Awards. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. And now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has postponed his scheduled trips to South Africa for the G20 Leaders Summit as he awaits further security briefings from Vice President Kashim Shettima on the kidnapped Kebbi schoolgirls and the attack on Christ Apostolic Church worshippers in Eruku, Kwara State. A statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, on Wednesday said Tinubu also ordered the deployment of more security personnel to Eruku and the entire Ekiti local government area of the state, and directed the police to go after the bandits who attacked worshippers. Tinubu intends to receive first-hand reports on the situation in Kebbi, including the outcome of meetings with local leaders before embarking on his trip. Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Kebbi State to meet with the state government and families of schoolgirls abducted from Government Girls Secondary School Maga by gunmen. The Vice President had departed Abuja for Kebbi on the directive of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He is expected to convey Tinubu's message to the people of the state as well as receive a briefing on the situation for onward communication to the President. Chairman of the Board of Directors for the Federal Airport Authorities of Nigeria, Dr. Umar Abdullahi Ganduje, has called on the security operatives at the Lagos Airport, all the stakeholders to provide the best service to travelers and screw corruption to improve the image of the country. Ganduje stated these while filing reports from journalists after facilitating a tour. The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, said there is a need for major stakeholders at the airport to provide good customer service that will make the airport more functional. He called for zero tolerance of corruption at the airport so the passengers, both local and international, will not have a bad image of the country, adding that security services too should be of high standards so that Nigerians will be proud of the personnel. He commended President Bola Tinubu for providing the agency the support it needed to actualize the objective of the administration in the aviation sector. Ganduje thanked FAN especially for upgrading the facilities at the Lagos and Abuja airports for them to meet the international standard required for their International Civil Aviation Organization certification. Tensions briefly fled at the House of Representatives as lawmakers clashed over when and how law issues surrounding Nigerians' electoral laws should be discussed. The exchange came during plenary, raising fresh concerns about legislative coordination and attendance. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
The usually calm plenary session took an unexpected turn when lawmaker from Anambra State, Peter Uzokwe, attempted to raise what he described as an urgent matter affecting Nigeria's electoral framework.
Sit down, Honorable Ifeanyi. Sit down, please.
It is so serious that it is damaging our reputation outside. And let me read it out.
Honorable Ifeanyi.
But before he could advance his points, Speaker Tajudeen Abbas interrupted, insisting that any discussions related to electoral reforms must wait until a special session scheduled for next week.
You shouldn't be talking with anger. This is a simple issue. You should be matured enough to know that this is a serious place.
Despite objections from some lawmakers who cited their constitutional right to raise matters of national concern, the Speaker maintained his position, stressing the need for order and adherence to the House procedural schedule. Shortly after order was restored, House Leader Professor Julius Ihunvere rose on a personal explanation, this time directing his concern internally. He cautioned committee chairmen against holding committee meetings while plenary is in session, a trend he warned undermines legislative process.
I thought it was important that inasmuch as we appreciate the commitment of our members, particularly those that are chairing statutory committees, to give us the maximum of their efforts.
Speaker Abbas supported the caution, expressing worry over the increasing number of lawmakers absent during morning sittings. From the National Assembly, Anieti Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
The Nigerian Police Force has shut down the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) at Wadata Plaza, following the heavy tension recorded on Tuesday. Police shut down the PDP National Secretariat on Wednesday after faction groups took over the premises for a battle, forcing intervention due to the security risk. A heavy deployment of police officers from the Directorate of State Services and other security personnel has been positioned around the Zone 5 Secretariat. Supporters of both factions were seen drumming and singing close to the venue. The All Progressives Congress members and supporters have called on Nigerians to support and encourage President Bola Tinubu. They declared full support, citing major achievements recorded under the Renewed Hope agenda. Ubong Usoro reports. Senate has urged the federal government to recruit about 1,000 personnel into the military to fight the rising killings and abduction of people in the country. These followed a motion of public importance sponsored by Senator Yahya Abdullahi, APC Cabinet. Topsy Gimba has details.
Senator Yahya Abdullahi expressed worry about the abduction of 25 students in the government girls' school in Maga, Kebbi State, killing the vice principal in the attack and injuring many. He called for adequate security to be provided in communities while urging the relevant security personnel to ensure the girls are rescued. Senator Yahya Abdullahi urged his colleagues to support the motion.
Maybe by the time the Senate, in its wisdom, agrees with the second reading and it goes to the committee, I think it will be very, very important for us to consider putting the MOFI together with the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Supporting the motion, former Senate President Ahmed Lawan emphasized that immediate steps must be taken to ensure the safe return of the abducted children. He also proposed that the Senate should find out the funds set aside during the Buhari administration to manage the Safe School program.
Then what would Global Business Coalition for Education was also in Nigeria to work with our leaders to ensure that we created safe education and learning environments in our schools.
Contributing to the prayers of the motion, Senator Adam Oshiomhole, APC, Edo North, urged the federal government to recruit at least 100,000 personnel into the military to assist to secure the entire country.
The capture in our prayer that we want additional 100,000 men and women to be recruited and trained and equipped and well kitted in the Nigerian Army to be able to cover the increasing number of population and the fact that we now have more schools that we used to have in 1960, in 1970, in 1980.
In response to the debate, Senate President Godswill Akpabio condemned the attack and urged the federal government and security agencies to prioritize the apprehension of the criminals and ensure the safe rescue of the students.
That we do set up an ad hoc committee to look into the Safe School program funding and expenditure and whether or not it has achieved its purpose in view of this current incident of the kidnap of our school children and the killing of this vice principal.
The Senate observed a minute silence in honor of the late vice principal, late Brigadier General Uba, soldier killed by terrorists for the weekend, and other victims of the attack, while calling for greater involvement for state governors in securing schools, stressing that the need for a collective effort to address the growing insecurity in the country. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
The House of Representatives has raised a fresh alarm over worsening insecurity in Zamfara State following a series of deadly attacks by armed bandits across multiple communities. During the plenary, lawmakers noted that the Constitution clearly places security and welfare of citizens as the primary responsibilities of the government, but insisted that ongoing attacks showed a dire situation requiring urgent action. National Assembly correspondent Aniti Patrick reports.
In the last 2 weeks alone, heavily armed bandits reportedly invaded more than a dozen towns and villages in Zamfara, killing at least 10 people, adopting 130 others, and imposing an illegal tax of 100 million naira in already vulnerable communities. In a matter of urgent public importance, Representative Kabir Amadu notes that the attackers, who operate freely on motorcycles, are said to move from one community to another for weeks without resistance and have recorded multiple killings, with farmers targeted on their farmlands. Lawmakers warn that the violence has created a severe humanitarian crisis, leaving residents without food, health care, or security, and pushing entire communities further into poverty. Sponsor of the motion, Amadu, called on President Bola Tinubu to urgently adopt a new security strategy and direct massive operations by the military to end the killings.
The worry is that this demand for 100 million naira in taxes is not only unjust but also unattained for a population already suffering from the loss of life and properties.
However, an amendment proposed during debates by Yusuf Gadi advised that instead of relocating defense chiefs to Zamfara, they should simply be directed to launch extensive operations in affected areas.
The prayer should just request the Minister of Defense, all of them, including the service chiefs, to direct for a robust operation to take place within the affected areas in Zamfara State and other parts of the country.
The House adopted the motion and mandated its committees on Defense, Army, Navy, Air Force, National Security and Legislative Compliance to ensure full implementation. Meanwhile, a bill for an act to establish Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery, Uturu, Abia State, and for related matters, HB 2006, by Amobi Oga passed for second reading.
For a bill for an act to establish a Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery, Uturu, Abia State, and for related matter, HB 2006.
Also a bill for an act to establish National Tomato Production, Processing and Research Institute, Shanono, Kano State, and for related matters, HB 2356, by Yusuf Badu, passed second reading too. From the National Assembly, Aniti Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
The Active Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Actor Sonia Chono, says private universities are performing better than public universities because the cost of education is more effectively shared in private institutions. He made the remark at the 13th convocation ceremony of Nile University of Nigeria, describing the school as one of the most sought after in the country. Ramsey Enoch Abu reports.
The Executive Secretary of TED Fund, Aksoni Echono, delivered the convocation lecture at Nile University 13th convocation ceremony in Abuja. Echono praised Nile University for its rapid growth, noting that it remains one of Nigeria's fastest rising institutions. He also emphasized the relevance of the lecture topic, redefining the Nigerian education system for the 21st century workforce, calling it central to strengthening the nation's education sector.
And as a country, there should be a shared acceptance that education is so important that a significant amount of our national wealth should be committed to education. Because when you give good education to your child, you don't need to worry about that child in later life, because it is the best investment you can give, and the returns on those investments are lifelong.
Echono stressed that education is crucial to nation building, especially in a global era where knowledge-based innovation commands high value in the marketplace.
The integration of technology into the education system has evidently transformed how knowledge is delivered and consumed globally. By embedding technology and entrepreneurship into the nation's educational framework, Nigeria will be able to prepare its youth for global competitiveness and develop a workforce capable of driving innovation and sustainable growth.
In a welcome address, the Vice Chancellor of Nile University of Nigeria, Professor Dili Dogo, acknowledged the dignitaries present at the event held at the university's conference hall.
Convocation lectures are very important because as graduates do graduate, we always find somebody to shine the light, a guiding light, to help focus them as to the journey ahead and bring out areas that require attention. Thank you and God bless you.
He noted that the integration of technology into the education system has transformed how knowledge is delivered and consumed around the world. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, Osimhen to Miss Confederation of African Football Awards. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. In business, the House of Representatives has opened a new legislative week with key decisions affecting Nigeria's energy sector, electoral landscape, and food security system. From calls for accelerated oil drilling in Nasarawa State to a fresh push to reduce the qualifying age for top political offices, lawmakers were busy on multiple fronts. National Assembly correspondent Aneti Patrick reports.
The House of Representatives has adopted a motion urging the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to fast-track all drilling activities in Obi local government area of Nasarawa State. The motion was sponsored by Abubakar Dahiru, who represents Lafia Obi Federal Constituency.
We are aware that the drilling the Obi oil is statutory duty of the Nigerian National Petroleum Limited, as provided in the Petroleum Industry Act, which allocates 30% of the funds for oil prospecting.
In another development, a bill seeking to amend the constitution to reduce the qualifying age for election into the Senate and governorship positions passed second reading. Sponsored by Esin Etim and 24 others, the amendment proposes lowering the age requirements for senators from 30 to 35 years and for governors from 30 to 40 years, part of effort to make Nigeria's political space more youth inclusive.
We maintain the gap between the office of the governor and senate, as it were, and that of the house at the 5 years that it has always been.
Meanwhile, at the committee level, the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security continued its investigative hearing into alleged misuse of agricultural intervention funds by MDAs and programs operating outside the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Committee Chairman Dr. Chike Okafor stressed that nutrition and food security remain central to the administration's renewed hope agenda.
Nigeria's food security is non-negotiable. As a nation blessed with arable land, water, and human capital, hunger should not be our reality. Yet, inefficiencies, corruption, and mismanagement in agricultural programs threatens this vision.
The hearing was attended by representatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria and microfinance banks involved in implementing the Anchor Borrowers program. From the National Assembly, Aneti Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
On the foreign scene, the United States and Saudi Arabia may be moving closer to a breakthrough on normalizing relations with Israel after Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hinted at the progress during talks in Riyadh. And in sports, Victor Osimhen will be absent at this year's Confederation of African Football Awards in Rabat, Morocco, today as he returns to Galatasaray for a scheduled MRI scan on the hamstring injury he picked up during the international duty for Nigeria. Osimhen, who won the award in 2023, is in the running for the award for the second time in his career. This year, he is up against Egypt and Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah and Hakim for PSG and Morocco. The player is expected to undergo a scan that will determine the extent of the injury he suffered on Sunday. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu has postponed his scheduled trip to South Africa for the G20 Leaders Summit as he awaits for the security briefings from Vice President Kashim Shettima on the kidnapped Kebbi schoolgirls and the attack of Catholic Church worshippers in Eruku, Kwara State. In business, the House of Representatives has opened a new legislative week with key decisions affecting Nigeria's energy sector, electoral landscape, and food security systems. On the foreign scene, the United States and Saudi Arabia may be moving closer to a breakthrough on normalizing relations with Israel after President Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hinted at progress talk in Riyadh. And in sports, Victor Osimhen will be absent at this year's CAF Awards in Rabat, Morocco, today as he returns to Galatasaray for the scheduled MRI scan on the hamstring injury he picked up during international duty for Nigeria. And that's it on Global TV News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365 and StarTimes, channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Sadia Yakubu saying thank you for watching.